So hello, Yana. How are you? Yana is my best friend. We've been friends since early childhood. We went to schools together, elementary, middle school. Well, it was one big school in Kazakhstan, Kastanai. So we've been together. We've been friends for a long time, and I'm so happy to have this little conversation with you. And I'm also lucky because Yana also speaks English, even though she's a bit shy. She's about her English, but she does speak well English. And so I can have this conversation Yana in English a little bit. And I wanted to talk to you, Yana, about this, the issue when you learn the second language, one of the most difficult element that you have to learn to master the second language is pragmatics, right? Pragmatics. So we know semantics, people familiar with semantics, syntax of language when you learn a second language, and everybody's kind of more familiar with those those elements of English. But pragmatics is less known to people. But basically, if we define pragmatics, pragmatics is how we use language in communication. So the rules of norms and rules in any given culture and for any given language, there are certain rules and norms. And so pragmatics is about how you use language to communicate with people. And that is one of the most difficult thing that you have to master when you master second language. Basically, you have to be in that culture to learn those rules and norms. And so I wanted to talk to you, Yana, about because so you have a degree in you're a teacher of a second language, English, right? Although I know you're not working in that industry, you're not teaching English right now, but you have a degree. You've in teaching English as the second language. And so I wanted to ask you how difficult and what had to you learn the pragmatics of English language.
How difficult? When we studied the language, the most important thing that time was to learn the syntax of the language, lexics of the language, but we paid not much attention to the learning of pragmatics because we didn't have an opportunity to communicate with native speakers, and that is why our system of education leads to learning classic English that, of course, let us read books, for example, to talk English, but not to the native speakers, because it's really I'm sorry. The most important thing in learning English, of course, the learning a live language, and we didn't have such an opportunity. That is why if I come to America today, it would be great difficult. It would be impossible to communicate with native speakers for a long time, for some time, because to understand the native speakers. Because we learned not native, but not real, but classic language.
Right. To give an example of what we talk, like what is pragmatics, and I'll give you example of this expression. For example, "What's up?" So when at least in America, young people a lot of time use that expression when they say basically saying hello to some, "Hey, what's up?" But we were just talking about this earlier.
And if I hear this phrase, of course, I would translate it as what happened. And I would answer, "Oh, I'm fine. Nothing happened. Thank you. I'm all right." Even now, I haven't known that what's up is translated as hello.
Right. So this is an example how people will look at you and say, "This person, there's something wrong with you because you're not. That's not the rule. That's not how we communicate. I'm supposed to say what's up, and you just say, 'Hey, what's up?' and that's it. You know, we really don't want to know exactly what's going on with you. Don't literally translate that that question. So yes, that's. Yeah, so it kind of it shows you that if you don't know the rules, you may look like a fool sometimes in the culture, and there's and there's actually a lot of research showing that people, if you are not familiar with pragmatics of the language you're speaking, you may people may perceive you as less intelligent or maybe even rude. So it can affect the way people see you, perceive you. So it can be, so it's actually important to learn pragmatics of the language that you're trying to speak in a given culture. So there was another.
I just want to notice that we had some subjects that led us to know some pragmatics of the language. We learned phraseologisms, speech patterns, which we used in our speech, and that way we try to speak real, alive language.
Right.
There were speech patterns. We learned them, but there are two of them to use it in real life. If I would come to America, of course, I would be shy and I wouldn't understand much.
It takes a little bit of time, but I think you'll be fine. Another example that you brought up was I can't stop loving you, right? That is another example of an expression that you would not literally translate into Russian in the same way, right? That
Right.
in Russian language you would have to completely translate it differently, but the meaning would I guess would be to keep the meaning but not keep the literal translation. Anything else? So there's one thing I wanted to ask or to follow up. You said that you learn speech patterns. So you essentially just simply memorize them. You had to memorize them.
Memorize them and use them in our speech, and use them while translating the texts or making dialogues. We just had to use them to understand how to use it correctly.
Yeah, I think that's the only way, unless you're lucky to go to actually visit the country of the languages you're learning. But if you can't do that, I guess the second option would be to memorize those expressions and try to use them in a dialogue or something. So I guess that would be your second option. Okay, so thank you very much. That was interesting.
Marina, thank you. I love you.
I love you too.